Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Kari Coody, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jenn.
Hi there, I'm Jenn, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women to discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Jenn and Kari here. Excited to be with you for another day. We spent a lot of time just talking about overwhelm and some of the things that create overwhelm. If you listened last week, it was just on some physical things, toxins, immune burdens. We've talked about some of the symptoms that maybe you don't know that you're in overwhelm, or even we've talked a little bit about the kind of the guilt and the shame around overwhelm, thinking that it's kind of it's a personality issue and not really a capacity issue. And so today we really want to kind of put it all together for you. We really want to talk about how modern life, the standard American diet, stacked together, as well as being female, right? We're built different than males, can sometimes affect our capacity. And then we want to just gently reframe, again, what capacity looks like and how to reframe healing. We feel really passionate about this piece, reframing healing, because including myself, and I still have to fight it. I think healing for a lot of us looks like, how do we fix ourselves? How do we, first of all, we can't fix ourselves, right?
Right. But we think we can.
Right.
Yeah. If anybody wants to understand everything, it's me for sure. Yeah. So I've really had to lay that down. And I know, Jenn has as well in maybe different ways than I have. But we're all so unique. And yeah, it's a good conversation though. Because I know that, a lot of people come to this podcast wanting ways, to find new ways maybe to look at healing, etc. And so it can be an idol is basically what we're saying. And we don't want
No, definitely. But we want you to see the pattern, right? We want you to see the loop. We want to walk you through this loop, which is, right, sometimes our stress or the demand increases. Normal. That's normal life.
And that's going to fluctuate day to day, season to season.
Absolutely. Yeah. Week to week, month to month.
Yeah.
Months to months. Stress increases. Diet changes. Maybe you're not eating as much. You're not eating as often. So your fuel goes down. So now your stress has increased, your nutrient demand has increased, but your full fuel has decreased. Now your blood sugar dysregulation worsens your stress response, right? Your nervous system is already activated from the stress, but that's worsened from the physical stress. Eating less often, your energy and your mood, your focus decline. Now you might start using sugar or caffeine to cope, right? To keep yourself propped up. And then we enter this cycle.
Oh my gosh. This sugar and caffeine to cope, like energy drink sales are probably at an all-time high. It's crazy. I just constantly see people walking around with either that or a coffee.
Yeah. So, no, Starbucks is...
It's a real thing.
Who would ever thought a special, a coffee shop would be, my go-to, obviously, my quote-unquote drug of choice is sugar. So I immediately going to, sugar to prop me up mid-afternoon, right? So overwhelm, again, is a physiological plus the emotional together, and your body's reacting to both the physical stress, the emotional stress. And as women, right, we have different needs, right? I think the emotional and mental load is more. It just is. Like, there's memes about it, right? Like the dads, just as surprised on Christmas Day as the kids.
Yes. Yes.
um, yes. Estrogen being higher, right? So, we tend to more thyroid issues, on and on and on. And this isn't a poor us. Like, this isn't poor women. It's just our role, like, especially in modern life. Um, you know, honestly, I feel like if we took a more traditional role, women who stay home, who
Yeah.
have less on their plate, was a good thing. I know
I
that
think everything went downhill when women went back to work. I mean, truly, if you look at it,
now
it's
it yes.
not a good
And
move.
and don't get me wrong, we're obviously females should, have certain, rights and equal
Definitely. We're not talking about any of
opportunities.
that. It's
Yeah.
just we need to be
No.
there for our family and, like, nurture
Yes.
and yeah, and nurture
Right.
ourselves.
Yes. Yes, and each other.
Yes.
I think that's what we're missing is that cultural women used to
Mhm.
get together and lunch together and, like,
Right.
have good conversations. Family generations would live together, and so they could, mentor, the younger women as they
Right.
were childbearing years. We just don't that's not part of our culture anymore. It's a
Right.
hustle, go get, success, performance culture. Um,
Yeah.
and so because of that, women just carry more.
And we're
Uh,
just more sensitive to stress too. Like our bodies are just we have this 28-day cycle versus a 24-hour cycle like men have
right.
typically, and we just are more sensitive to stress. And it's not that we're weaker, it's just our design, you know?
Yeah. And we have less downtime because of that.
Right. Well, we
Uh,
choose less downtime. Right.
Correct. Good call.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Right.
that. So,
Yeah.
capacity then, because of less nourishment, less nervous system regulation, less rest, we need to what
Deep breath.
reframe. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, right?
Did I feel it? My body must have, like.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're hopefully, we've kind of set the stage, and we're gonna tell you maybe how to take a deeper breath, right?
Yes.
We all need that.
So do you? Because Kari, you sort of were really good about, like, getting me to be just aware of this. You wanna just talk a little bit about reframing healing and what that looks like for you personally maybe, or what it looked like
Hmm.
for you?
Yeah, that's a good one. So, I was definitely on the fix it mentality trail for a long time, and I was just talking to Jen about it the other day of just how I just had this thought the other day of, like, I just feel like the last gosh, what has it been now? I guess 10 years has been like a great undoing.
Mm,
I
praise
quit
God.
my full I know. I quit my full-time pharmacy job 10 years ago this month because my son was 1 and he just turned 11. That's the only way I remember it. But, I just came from a world that they praised multitasking. They praised just, how fast can you do something? I mean, it's just it's no different than any other job, right? That's seen as great. So I got management positions. I got, just more work. And I left that. I came home, I was mainly really focused on my doTERRA business. And so I just poured all that into that business. And and God kindly tapped me on the shoulder about 7 or 8 years ago and was like, "Yeah, this isn't the way." And so I've just been unlearning a lot in the last, 7 or 8 years, and he's just God is so kind, right? If you find yourself where you feel like you're just stuck in a hole and all that we're saying, you're like, "Yeah, I get it, but I just feel really I don't even know what to do." That probably would have been me, back then, and, I just it looks a little different for every woman, as Jen said, we're all a little bit the same and a little bit different, and, I just think for me, it just meant a lot of surrender, a lot of letting go of what I thought healing looked like, of what the world says healing looked like, of what I learned in school that healing looked like. There was just a lot for me that I had to let go there. And it's just a lot more downtime than adding more to your schedule and multitasking. Um, and so I've
Yep.
just realized too that God made our bodies I mean, I knew that, but it's like He's shown me over and over again how He's given us everything we need. He's made our bodies so amazingly, and even the nutrition from food. I've learned a lot more about how whole foods are just they're so nourishing to our body. And I just look back and think I was living on lean cuisines and, goldfish or whatever, like not real food. So anyway, that's the long and short.
Yeah, so for me, the same thing. I think Kari taught me, um, like, creating that silence, right? Like, we feel like we have to do so much, but we really don't. It's about what
Yeah.
we wanna do versus what we need to do. So not doing more, so doing less, that would probably be the first thing. I would say if you're in overwhelm or if you're looking for healing. 2, which was imperative for me, was creating silence, right? Creating a prayer corner for myself where I could go every day and really encounter God, where I could really commune with God. And now I long for that time. It's all I want to do. I just want to sit in my corner all day long with God. Obviously, we can't, we have things to do.
Yeah.
But in that creating silence, what I learned was I can't fix myself. I can't heal myself. Only He can. And that was when I slowly started to surrender. And that's where creating that margin for my body, my mind, my soul was when I started to really feel the deep healing. Um and sometimes still, Kari and I talk about this, I look and I'm like, "Ugh, not where I wanna be," and Kari always reminds me, she's like, "Look how far you have come."
I know. We can't see that in ourselves a lot of times, right? You need somebody that's gonna help point that out. We all do,
Right, right.
definitely.
For the healing, not focusing on fixing yourself, just create the space, create the silence of doing and focus on doing less. I feel like if you can really just focus on those things, the rest will come. You'll instinctively like, "Oh, I need to meal plan or I need to meal prep so I have meals, so I have time." Like, your priorities shift, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was running around trying to do stuff for so many people where now I'm like, "Okay, what do I need in this moment for me, for my family, for God?" Well, first for God, right?
Mhm.
So I can show up. Um,
Yeah, we don't realize how and it's funny how we're saying these things like, "Oh, they just happen," but
uh,
it's not easy
no.
to do some of these things. It's not easy to let go of trying to fix yourself because if you're in a place that you don't feel good and you have, like, physical things going on and you don't know why, that's hard, but
Mhm.
God is asking you to trust Him. Doesn't mean that you're not gonna do anything. It just means that you're gonna lay down the burden of because it is a burden to try and figure out constantly what's wrong with me and how am I gonna be fixed. That is a serious burden that He did not ask you to carry. I think a lot of people are there too. We've all been there if you're listening to this podcast probably because you are interested in health or you have a health issue. It's just an
Yeah.
easy thing to pick back up too, right? We constantly have to every day surrender that, especially if you don't feel good still, right? It's a little bit easier if you have more energy or your symptoms are better or whatnot, but it's incredibly hard when you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, I think it's a catch-22 because I'm one way. I'm more the like, my body's not always with me in the sense of I'm just a little bit more fatigued or don't feel as, grounded, where Carrie's a kind of a doer and has the capacity, and so it's
Yeah,
both
that's true.
ways. Letting go in my case, and then in Carrie's case, also letting go, right? Um,
Yeah, I was
so
just
whether
talking to somebody, it was actually a client. We were just talking about capacity, which is the next thing we're gonna kind of hit on in this episode. And I just she was just saying, "I need more capacity. I'm praying for more capacity," whatever. And I'm like, "Listen, I don't think that's a bad thing to want. I don't think God doesn't wanna give you that, but I'm just telling you, the issue is not capacity. a lot of times. The issue is, what are we chasing that we don't need to chase, and what do we need to surrender and repent and all that? That's what God's most interested in, because I've seen that, right? I mean, I have capacity for days, and I don't say that pridefully. I mean, it's just like, I don't know why God has given me that, but all I know is He wants my surrender, and it's easy for me to want to do it my way because I do have the energy. So He's always trying to refine us in different ways. You know, you're not, you don't get like a pass for that if you have a lot of capacity, right?
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. So what about capacity? What do we want? What have you learned about capacity? Like, what has been the most important thing that God has shown you about that?
To be very surrendered with the capacity. There was lots of points in my life where I had very little capacity, and I would just use it on the wrong things. So when I do have capacity, make sure it's a surrendered capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you may or may not have heard of something called the window of tolerance. It's something that I've learned about in my studies of the nervous system and of just, different healing things that I've avenues that I've went. And it's just, I can just so see how it plays out in my own life, in other people's lives. Like, it makes so much sense now. And really what window of tolerance is kind of just a range where your nervous system functions best. And if you are inside of where your nervous system functions best, you're kind of inside the window of tolerance. If you're outside of that, we say you're outside of your window. And you may have heard this, if you listen to a lot of other, things in this space. But if it's new to you, it's just very simply, what can your body handle right now, and what can it not handle? And so, if you find yourself just, I don't know, what are some ways that you're out of your window of
Well,
tolerance?
I would say let's talk about what in the window of tolerance.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
good.
Yeah, so I would say in the window of tolerance, you're able to handle stress. You're able to think clearly. You can regulate your emotions. You're not irritable. You don't snap. You
Yeah.
can recover if there is a challenge, right? You kind of rise to the occasion. So inside your window, you're calm but focused. You can be flexible. You're able to connect. So this is where healing and
Yeah.
growth can happen. So now this window of tolerance is different, as we mentioned, for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So the
Very
amount,
different.
right? So the amount of load can, for instance, my window of tolerance just unfortunately is pretty small, and so I just have to be very judicious with how I use my energy. But Kari, do you want to look like kind of once you are outside your window of tolerance? So I'll explain my outside my window of tolerance. So I know when I'm outside of my window of tolerance because I can't focus. My thoughts are racing, right? I'm going from one thing to the next to the next. I'll start something, leave it, do something else.
Mhm.
I'm irritable. My body is really, really tight, especially my neck. Like at night,
Yeah.
I know that like I can't, it it's really tight to turn my head. And the biggest thing is I'm very restless when I sleep.
Yeah. Um, and really, the being outside of your window kind of goes to different states of your nervous system. First, it could look like, those things for sure. Like, at times I've been more anxious. Definitely the irritability for sure.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
and if, something happens with the kids and they're like angry or upset, and and I can't really help them. I can't be present for them. I'm like, okay, that's a sign for me. Um, and then sometimes you stay in that state, like you could stay outside your window for a long time. And then you might go more into just you're exhausted, you're numb, you withdraw, you have a lot of brain fog. Um,
Almost
and
depressive symptoms. You
yes,
don't wanna
so that's more
socially.
like long term typically, not always, but it could be look like either one of those. Um, but the other night, it was last week, I totally was outside my window and I was just like, I got home from church, I was just done. And I just kept saying, I'm done. I need a new day. I'm done. I was outside of the window for sure.
Yes. And so things that, just as we talked about before, things that lead to being outside your window is the chronic stress. Then you add the nutrient depletion. Then you add the poor sleep. Then you add, the chemical or immune burdens that you have, trauma that you're already carrying. Um, so that's just modern life, right?
Yeah.
So we have to sort of learn to manage this window where we can stay in this window of tolerance, one, so that we can function and be present for people. Um, but also, that we can do what God has called us to do, right? Which is be present for people mostly.
Yeah.
And you are able to heal. So, like, as I've really given my nervous system and my body a deeper rest and more silence, my capacity has increased, right? My nervous system is definitely more adaptable. Well, I notice when I travel is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so that's called widening your window. You can make your window bigger so that you have more room to kind of go from, one side to the other, let's say. And so what does that we talked about foundations a ton, adequate minerals, proper nourishment, stable blood sugar, and then, as Jen mentioned, nervous system support, whatever that might look like for you. And then just reducing the
exciting.
load, right? We just talked about that in the last episode and a little bit in this one. Just trying to see, like, are you really overwhelmed with toxins? Like, that can really affect your nervous system. Just getting better sleep too, that's a huge part of this
Sleep
as well.
timing, sleep rhythm, going to bed at
Yeah.
the same time, getting
Circadian
up at
rhythm
the
plays a
same.
huge role in this for
Yes.
sure. We've talked about that before, but we've both seen really big, movement from that. Um,
And even
and
the sensory input, which I don't think a lot of people, that's another thing that I notice when I'm out of my window is I'm very sensitive to light, right? I'm
yeah,
very sensitive to noise. So that might be even something you need to decrease when you're out of your window, right? Decreasing noise, decreasing bright light or artificial light, more importantly,
yeah.
getting more natural light. Um, but, the key thing is regulation will come back not when you keep pushing,
Hmm.
when you become aware that you're outside the window and you're like, "Okay, what can I do to ask for support and to support myself?"
It gets easier. Like, it
Yes.
gets easier to know. It gets easier to go back to what works. So it's definitely something that's learned as well. Like you just muscle memory, I guess would be a better way to say it.
Sure.
So hopefully this has given you a good just overview of how your body responds to stress, how much your capacity matters. Maybe you learned something new about the window of tolerance today, and we kind of gave you a good overview of that. Let us know if you want to go deeper into that. I think it's a really, really underutilized and a kind of under talked about thing that plays a really big role in healing and just in general how we show up for people. Right? If we're constantly irritable, and you might have been outside your window for a while now,
Yeah.
so be kind to yourself. For sure, because your body, it needs some rest probably. Most of ours do. So, we hope you've enjoyed it. We enjoyed, recording this for you, and we would love to hear from you. We do have a new Ask a Question, um, a way you can ask a question feature. If you go to our website, and go to the podcast tab, it's right there. You can ask a question to us live, and we'll answer it on the podcast. So, all right, we hope to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next episode.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you'd share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.